Mac Engel, Fort Worth Star Telegram, for another episode of Cowboys Overtime. I'm joined by my looking friend there, Mr. Clarence E. Hill Jr. Clarence is on vacation, but because he cares as much as he does, he decided to join me for this week's episode. Thank you, Clarence. As you can tell, this is not my house.
I take no vacation. You
Time card says otherwise, sir.
Where did you go last? Where have you been? I mean, don't really tell me you're working hard. And I understand, and I know Mac is breaking up because I hear, according to Stephen Johnson's Twitter, that the Wi-Fi at AT&T Stadium is horrible.
It's awful. It's awful. Yeah, I'm currently at Big 12 Media Days. Yesterday was day one. TCU talked, as well as Texas coach Steve Sarkisian and 50 other teams that are in this conference. Today is day two. This is the last day of this two-day gala. You asked where I was. That's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up. I was in Hawaii. We went to Hawaii for a vacation. That was a lot of fun, which is really the weird part about it. There was we were there for July 4th. They do not celebrate July 4th in Hawaii.
They celebrate Juneteenth. They celebrate Juneteenth.
They'd be more apt to celebrate Juneteenth in Hawaii. They celebrate everything in Hawaii but the 4th of July. Apparently, we have friends who live there, and they've lived there for like 5 years, and they're like, yeah, Hawaiians don't celebrate July 4th. That's not a good day out here. Apparently, New Year's Day, or New Year's Eve, rather, is this mashup of holidays. It's this huge deal in Hawaii. So apparently we picked the wrong day. But it was a lot of fun. And the only challenge was we flew through the night 2 nights ago. So I got back at like 7 a.m. You are a veteran of red-eye flights. I used to be a veteran of red-eye flights. And I pretty much went straight from the airport here. And I was a zombie. At one point, Clarence, I was brutal. I was drinking coffee out of my Cowboys cup. I spilled it all down my shirt. And this was like noon. So I was stuck. And I had this big, giant coffee stain on my shirt, which is white, of course, and my khaki pants. So that was kind of disgusting. And there was an event last night here, and I was supposed to say, I'm like, there's no way. At one point, and I don't know if you've done this before, I'm sitting here on my computer, and I almost fell asleep. And I'm like surrounded by people. And I'm like, at one point, I'm like, huh? What? Yeah, I'm here. I'm awake.
I've done that before. But the good news is, let's backtrack just a minute. You don't need a holiday to have fun in Hawaii. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's true. You really don't.
You don't need to have a good time in Hawaii. Okay. So
you know what? You were in Hawaii. You were in Hawaii a couple of years ago, right, for the Cowboys game?
With the Cowboys, yeah. The Star Telegram paid my way. I can't afford to go by myself.
This one came out of my wallet. So, you remember the stadium where they played that game?
Yes.
Aloha Stadium. That has been condemned.
Oh,
you were one of the.
I can believe that. Yeah. I can believe that. Yes.
Was it in pretty bad shape when you were there?
Yes, it was in bad shape.
Well,
yes, it was. But that was not my greatest memory of that trip to Hawaii. Of course, that was the Zeke Who moment. That's what I got Jerry to say. That's what I got Jerry to say. Zeke Who.
I remember that. I can hear you. I remember that clip. But you had never been to Hawaii. What was your greatest moment from your Hawaii excursion?
When you're going for work, it's different than when you're going for pleasure. And it's totally different. I hung out with Eric Dickerson, went to dinner, went to the beach. Of course I did the thing, but it's different when you have the pressure of I still need to work and I got to do some things. So then when you're just totally unplugged, you can really enjoy it. So I didn't really get to unplug and enjoy it. So, but hey, it was a good trip. The worst part about it was that Zeke's agent called me after the Zeke Who comment, and I was on a flight back to Dallas, 6-hour flight or 8-hour flight back to Dallas. I did not get the call, and so they called me to respond to the Zeke Who. And when I land, someone else, Chris Morton, someone else got it because I couldn't pick up the phone because I was on a 6-hour flight.
Yeah, it was a fun time. I went surfing. I cut my hand. You can kind of see where I cut my hand on the rocks. I went surfing.
None of the sea animals took your surfboard. I mean, that's the thing right now. The sea is fighting back against humans. I mean, the otters are taking surfboards, okay?
I am not one. I have a great respect and fear for the ocean. So I was at exactly out there in the 50-foot waves. I was more on the 1-foot wave. I did a good job falling. Day one, I did a good job. I was more of a paddler than I was a surfer. Day two, I did a little bit better, but I did fall well. Unfortunately, I fell into the rocks and cut my hand. My knees have some nice cuts. I look good. So anyways, that was my excursion. So I am at Big 12 Media Days here for an episode of Cowboys Overtime, sponsored by Window Nation. Clarence, we're going to focus a little bit more on college football and some other stuff. We'll get to the Cowboys later, but you know, you're a veteran of college football. You love college football, and there was probably no bigger story in college football last year than TCU because nobody saw it coming. They were unranked going into the start of the season, first year under head coach Sonny Dykes, and they finished the season in the national title game. National title game really didn't work out too well, but they went there and they were the story. They were the story of the year because it was so unexpected. Clarence, they lost 8 guys to the NFL, including the starting quarterback who finished second in the Heisman Trophy race, and Max Duggan. Clarence, TCU is not picked to finish first in the Big 12, but nobody knows who has a clue who's going to win this league. Do you see any chance of TCU repeating as Big 12 champions?
Well, I mean, the only reason you give them a chance to compete is because no one picked them to do it last year. You
yeah,
know,
that's a good point.
And the good news is we love Max Duggan, but he didn't win the job by the camp. You know, the kid that won the job by the camp is the starting quarterback this year. And really, from talking to everybody, he was still the better quarterback in practice.
Yep, he was.
You know, so you got to like what Sonny's doing and what he has done. And I think laying low bodes well for TCU. Hey, y'all pick Texas, go pick somebody else. Let us work over here and lay low. I think they're doing the right things. I certainly think they got the right attention to the right people. Certainly they're recruiting well, and they're going to continue to stock that program. So I don't see TCU falling off the map. They're not my pick for the title just because I think that Texas does have more weapons, you know, in its time, you know. But again, I could have felt the same way last year about some other programs, and TCU came. You know, the funny thing about it is we act like TCU won the Big 12. TCU did not win the Big 12 last year. They had a great year. You know, it's crazy.
They finished first in the it's weird. They finished first in the regular season. They were undefeated. They get to the Big 12 title game, and even Clarence, I'll admit, I even confused it a few times.
Right.
Because I'm like, well, they won the regular season. They finished undefeated. I'm like, well, no, they didn't win the league championship game. Played here at AT&T Stadium. They lost it over to Kansas State. And you're right, they didn't win the league. I keep thinking they did, but they didn't. They went to the playoffs. But Chandler Morris right now, former Highland Park guy, was originally started his career at Oklahoma, transferred to TCU. He won the job in fall camp. Sprained his knee in the third quarter of the winter against Colorado Boulder. Never hear from him again. Max Duggan comes on and has the season of his life, story of the year, et cetera. Chandler's now the starter. I think the only concern talking to TCU people is whether or not Chandler can stay healthy. Max was a big kid. Yeah, Clarence, I know my wife has off. Actually,
it is. It is.
Sends me a message on the right to do what I already know. Kind of like saying, Mac, you have a big nose. Yeah, I know. Do I have a Wi-Fi spot? No, I don't have a Wi-Fi spot. They didn't give me one.
No, you get that with your phone.
There's nothing I can do about it. It's terrible.
Okay, let me just jump in just for a second.
I know. I don't have one. I need one.
Let me just jump in for a second here. I understand that. Your time out. The thing about Max Duggan, and I like, Chandler Morris, I think there's something to say about gamers, and Max Duggan is a gamer. Like VY was a gamer. He wasn't a great practice quarterback, and I go back to James Brown. He wasn't a great practice quarterback. When the lights came on, they performed. And Max Duggan is a gamer, and he was a gamer, and that's what you need. And that's the difference, between him and Chandler Morris. Last year, we'll see, what Chandler Morris does this year. The thing that I worry about with TCU is the big-time playmakers are missing. The speed on the outside, Quentin Johnson, the running backs in the backfield. They had some big-time playmakers who made plays, helped Max Duggan make plays that are no longer there.
Nope. All things are true. Candy, I'm not sure which one of your images for our second subject is current. So what do you want about the future of the Big 12 without Texas and Oklahoma? Or do you want to talk about why Texas should? No, that's what we do. Thanks, Candy. Clarence, I don't know if you know this or not, but Texas is leaving the Big 12 after the season. Breaking news here. Texas and Oklahoma are abandoning the Big 12 to go make money in the SEC next year. So now they lose. The Big 12 loses its two signature marquee names, and they add four other programs that I got to tell you, having been here now at Big 12 Media Days, some just doesn't feel. They're adding Cincinnati, which went to the playoffs a couple of years ago. They're adding Notre Dame Light in BYU. They're adding Central Florida, and they're adding the University of Houston. I know these programs in the past have had moments of really good. Clarence, I got to tell you, I'm not sure adding these four teams was the right call for this league. Now, they made the commitment, and it made sense at the time, but given the instability now with the Pac-12, the Big 12 is still going to be a good conference. They're secure with the ESPN, Fox, and all these networks for the next 6. I got to tell you, it just doesn't feel the same. It just doesn't, and I know.
And you're breaking up. I don't know if you're stopped talking or not, but
anybody publicly wants to.
Can I talk now? I don't know because you're frozen on my screen, but the bottom line is I think that the difference here is that some of TCU's and Oklahoma State's and Kansas State's, their biggest wins, biggest marquee games, biggest marquee matchups they came against Texas and Oklahoma. I don't know if that will be the same with Texas and Oklahoma gone. I don't know if beating Central Florida, beating Cincinnati will move the needle nationally, move the needle locally, move the needle, TV ratings the way beating a Texas or beating Oklahoma would do for Central Florida or do for TCU and do for the rest of the conference. That's the problem. That's the thing that I worry about, whether those things certainly can happen or not. But you do. I really like the Big 12 commissioner. I think he's a great salesman. I think if he was there a couple of years ago, that he may have had a chance to save the conference and keep Oklahoma and Texas because he's such a good salesman. It seemed like he's certainly the right guy for the job, but certainly they're gone and he's doing the right thing. He's certainly selling it the right way. And it was announced yesterday that the AT&T Stadium will be the home of the Big 12 championship game through 2030, and so we'll get a chance to see how this conference plays out. I wonder if one day after 2030, if AT&T Stadium is home of an SEC championship game, just because of Texas and Oklahoma and those ties here, and certainly the way the SEC teams love to come to Dallas, including Arkansas and LSU and Alabama and the like, So it's certainly going to be interesting, how this all plays out. We're going to take a break right now while Mac works out his Wi-Fi issues and hear from my good friends at Windows Nation.
Window Nation, the star of window replacement and proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, can help you fill the house this season with savings. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and make no payments and pay no interest until 2025. Fill your house for a customized authentic Dallas Cowboys jersey while supplies last. You could even help fill the Cowboys house and win tickets to a game. Visit windownation.com/Cowboys now for details. Call 866-95-NATION. Window Nation, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
We're back in the show.
Back. Sorry. I apologize. All right. I'll tell you what. This is what we're going to do. Candy, why don't we do this? Let's take our break for Window Nation. We'll come back for a very abbreviated second half. How's that?
We've already done that, so let's move on. We've already taken the break.
I apologize. I just connected. Great. I missed on that. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, Clarence, we're going to talk about this last subject here real quick here on Window Nation Cowboys Overtime. Okay, why don't you update me what you did while I missed it because of technical difficulties?
Well, the only thing I continue to talk about the Big 12 without Texas and Oklahoma. So we haven't touched Arch, and we haven't touched anything else after that. We just did the first 2 segments. Did you hear me? He's frozen again. The bottom line is this: the Big 12 media days are here, and
I'll tell you what,
the big topic. Let me finish. He cannot hear me. The big topic of discussion right now, outside of the big topic of discussion, outside of obviously Texas, Oklahoma leaving, is who's going to win this year. Texas has been the runaway favorite among the media, among pundits, to finally win a Big 12. I don't know. I think I was 2 when the last time they won a Big 12 title, or maybe Vince Young was 2. I can't remember. It's been that long. But Texas is the favorite to win the Big 12. The question is, can Steve Sarkisian, can Quinn Ewers get Texas over the top? That's been a discussion. Quinn Ewers is, I think considered a first round pick for a South Lake quarterback who went to Oklahoma Ohio State. As a senior out of high school. He left after his junior year with Ohio State, transferred to Texas last year. Had up and down first year, but he was a former 5-star kid who has all the tools and has been mocked by many people as a first-round pick next year, but needs to put it together on the field. If he puts it together on the field, then Texas certainly has a shot to finally win the Big 12 in their last year. Matt, can you hear me?
Okay, I'll ask you this because my connection – I can hear you. It's on a horrible delay. Clarence, is there any scenario where Arch Manning starts this season at Texas? It's the most highly rated recruit in forever. Is there any way that you see that happening?
No. Arch Manning is not starting at Texas this year. Arch Manning is not even going to be the backup quarterback at Texas this year. It's Malik Murphy is going to be the backup quarterback at Texas this year. I think it's, Arch Manning has a name, but I if you understand the Manning family, understand the purpose of the Mannings, they did not want to come into a situation where they didn't come to Texas to start as a freshman. They understood that Quinn Ewers was going to be the starter this year and probably go pro, and they will get a chance to start as his second year there. But Malik Murphy, kid out of California, who was the best quarterback during the spring game, is going to be number 2. In 2023. And Arch Manning and Malik Murphy will battle out for the starting job heading into the 2024 season. Look for Arch Manning to redshirt as a freshman, barring injuries. Look for Arch Manning to redshirt as a freshman. That's been the plan. That's what they want. They don't want him having to come in and be forced into the spotlight to start. But going to the SEC, the first of the SEC, 2024, that's when you can look for a battle between Arch Manning and Malik Murphy to be the quarterback of Texas.
All right, I want to apologize to everybody. This is a massive technical issue that we're having on my half. Thank you, Window Nation. Thanks, Clarence and Candy, for working with me on this. We'll see you next week on Cowboys Overtime when we will not have these technical issues.